So a survey was done actually in July about school safety and what parents thought. 34% of parents said they didn't think their schools were safe. In the low-income areas, the number was even more dramatic. It was 48% of low-income parents didn't think their school was safe. And we've seen a lot of issues around with urban schools and what's going on there. So I want to show you a little bit about violence statistics, what's going on. Almost 80% of our schools have some type of violent incidents. In 2015, 2016, this pretty much tracks almost every single year. 21% of students have reported being bullied during that 2015, 2016 school year, with more than 1 million serious offenses. There's actually 160,000 students skip school each day for fear of being bullied. So the numbers are really dramatic on what's going on in our schools. In 2018, Wallet Hub just did this survey in September. They put out their results of this. In 2018, they showed a statistic. Every 7 minutes, a student is being bullied. That's something that should not be happening anywhere. In Illinois, the ranking for Illinois is number 19 in bullying prevalence. It's number 15 in bullying impact and treatment, and number 4 in the high cost of truancy due to bullying. So the schools are not dealing with the bullying problem. They're letting it continue, and nothing's happening. Earlier this spring, Chicago Tribune did a story called Betrayed. And this is just some highlights of what happened in Chicago public schools. A track coach raped a student 40 times. There were 430 reports of sexual abuse, assault, and harassment since 2011. And mind you, this is teacher or employee on student. This is not student on student bullying. These are employees of CPS doing this. One teacher had sex with a student for over 5 years and the parents were never notified. That story about that one teacher is the reason the Betrayed series got written. He, after he graduated, posted on his social media about what had happened to him. The Trib picked it up and started doing FOIA requests into the schools to figure out what was going on, and they uncovered all of this stuff based on this one kid posting on social media about his story that nobody even knew about. A janitor assaulted a 6-year-old special education student, and an elementary cafeteria worker who had already been convicted of assault was hired and committed more sexual assaults on students. A lot of CPS, never before this didn't even do background checks of a lot of their employees. They've changed a lot of their practices now. We'll see where it goes, but it's just over and rampant there. And this is just some of the few incidents that have happened. So real quick, I want to give you a little bit of overview here. 21% of students are bullied, as we saw earlier. 7% of high school students have committed suicide. And then 14% of high school students have considered suicide. All those statistics are per year. The last statistic up there, John will talk a lot more about shootings and stuff like that, but I'm just going to, one statistic here I have here, 0.43% of students are affected by school shootings. And that's since 1999. So that's over a 20-year period where students have been affected directly by a school shooting. And the media likes to hype those incidents because it is very dramatic, it is very impactful, but they're forgetting to talk about all the suicides and all the kids dying from being bullied and committing suicide long before the school shootings and stuff ever take place. So that statistic, by the way, comes from the Washington Post, which is not known to being very Second Amendment friendly. So this led the Heartland Institute after Parkland to come up with child safety accounts. The child safety account is modeled on an education savings account where the money that's already earmarked for a child's education would go into account that the parent would then direct for the education of their child. They can pick another school, they can pick a private school, public school, they can homeschool, they can do virtual school, they can do a mix because the ESA allows the flexibility for them to be able to get the education environment that best meets the needs of that child. So they can go, it helps with transportation, helps with travel. One thing you'll see a lot of, though, is still students can't pay. Some low-income area students still don't have the money to pay for some of the better schools. So we added on additional features to the CSA, which is called topping off, for the most nomenclature, if you ever hear this. What it is allows businesses and individuals to donate to a scholarship granting organization that would then help provide that money, more money for the student than the ESA would actually cover, so they can get into better schools and do different things that then they would have been able to start with. Also, individual education tax credits. Illinois has both of these right now, but they're not built for topping off. Their major is for going to other schools, and the education tax credit individual one is used by homeschoolers in the state a lot. And right now, Illinois has actually the highest usage of the individual education tax credit. At a little over 300,000 people use that every single year. So even in Illinois, parents are looking for choices. One of the questions, first thing is going to be asked is does school choice help with safety? There have been 4 studies on safety right now. 2 were in Washington, D.C., and actually another one was partially Washington, D.C., but every one of these studies showed a positive impact on safety and what parents thought. And you can see the numbers. The Washington, D.C. study in 2018, a 35% increase in parents feeling their student was now very safe. 53% in the Wolf study in 2013, and then the other studies, 2006 and in 2008, was 51% and 48%. 48% was just up the road in Milwaukee. So getting students out of their environment that's unsafe allows them to get into a safer school. And one statistic you'll always want to keep in mind with this about what parents think, 53% of parents, the paramount issue when they're choosing another school is safety. So now I would like to go ahead and introduce our main speaker tonight, John Lott. He is the president of the Crime Prevention Research Center, and he's an economist who's held research and teaching positions at the University of Chicago, Yale University, Stanford, UCLA, Wharton, and Rice, and he's the chief economist of the United States Sentencing Commission during 1988 and 89. He's published over 100 articles in academic journals and has 9 different books. Tonight, The War on Guns is in the back. Please pick up a copy, buy a copy, get John to autograph it later on tonight. And we'll turn everything over to welcome John Lott to the stage.